American and Chinese officials meeting now at the Pentagon as tension grows over a series of incidents in the air as well as on the ocean. For example, a recent encounter between a U.S. Navy plane and this Chinese fighter pilot. The Chinese pilot reportedly buzzing the Navy plane, even doing a barrel roll over the top of it, something like you saw in the movie Top Gun. That's just the latest in a series of dangerous maneuvers. Let's talk about it with Gordon Chang. He's author of The Coming Collapse of China. But right now, China is being mighty belligerent with not only our military, but others.
Well, certainly. This incident is the fourth this year. This month alone, not only did we have this August 19th incident, we had the Chinese planes flying very, very close to Japanese airspace, and also Chinese planes flying over close to Taiwan. So this has been a very active month for the Chinese Air Force.
We're looking at video, or pictures, I should say, of the Russian-built Chinese fighter plane right there, a very sophisticated aircraft. He was monitoring a US P-8. That's basically a modified Boeing 737 that keeps track of submarines, flying in international airspace, but the Chinese don't see it that way.
No, the Chinese don't. They see that the area of the ocean beyond 12 nautical miles, which is sovereign territory, between 12 and 200 is the exclusive economic zone, which every country recognizes. But China goes further and says that military activities by the United States and other countries in the EEZ is not permitted. Now, customary international law is not with them. We've been doing this for 200 years, and so clearly this is part of what is the established international legal norms.
We remember what happened back in 2001 when another U.S. surveillance plane, a propeller-driven plane, was also accosted by a Chinese fighter. In that case, they actually clipped. The Chinese fighter jet crashed, the pilot was killed, and our P-3, I believe it is, ended up there on the ground on China's Hainan Island. They got an awful lot of, apparently, intelligence information about that sort of spy plane.
They imprisoned our crew for 11 days. They stripped our plane of its equipment, and we ended up apologizing to the Chinese and paying them $35,000, which was essentially a ransom. This was a low point in American diplomacy. And clearly what we taught the Chinese was that it pays for them to be belligerent. Now, the Chinese are hostile, but we are setting the stage for them to be truly dangerous because we do not impose any cost on them for a series of belligerent acts, not only in the air, but on the sea.
All right, what kinds of costs? I mean, nobody wants to see us getting into a shooting war between aircraft over there.
No, clearly nobody does. But the policies that we've had to try to engage the Chinese just clearly haven't worked because they have continued with these acts, not only against us, but with our allies and friends in the region. And what we need to do is stop trying to talk the language of cooperation and telling the Chinese that there will indeed be costs for that. Because although no one, of course, wants to impose costs, at least what we've been doing has demonstrably not worked.
One of the interesting things you've talked about before when we've had these conversations is that, you know, the United States has been in a couple of wars recently. Our people, our military leaders, you know, a little tired of the exercise. That's not the case in China. They're almost looking for a reason, it seems.
Well, they certainly are. You know, Xi Jinping is the Vladimir Putin of Asia. He's got a political system which is in distress. The military is becoming much more influential. The hardliners are taking over, and Xi cannot appear to be weak. And that's why we see these series of provocations. And we have to understand that China right now is very dangerous.
So what would be the answer? What would you advise President Obama or the Pentagon? How should they handle it?
Well, first of all, we should not be inviting Chinese to our military exercises so they can watch us and learn from us. I think the other thing that we need to do is maybe even fly closer to Chinese shores until the Chinese stop this provocative behavior, because we do have to impose some costs. We have to make sure that they understand that they can't do this scot-free, because when they see they can do it scot-free, they even push us further. And so that's making things worse. You know, it sounds good that we should signal cooperation, but they see it as a sign of weakness, unfortunately. They're ruthlessly pragmatic.
So much for the pivot to Asia.
Yeah, so much.
Gordon Chang.
Yeah.
Gordon, always good to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.